And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Dedicated to moving mental health forward in Canada, Bell Let's Talk promotes awareness and action with a strategy built on 4 key pillars: fighting the stigma, improving access to care, supporting world-class research, and leading by example in workplace mental health. On today's Open Connection, Bell Let's Talk.
That moment right before you take off is everything to me. Standing up top, looking at that jump, staring it down and realizing that you're about to ski into a 4.1 meter tall jump at 68 kilometers per hour, and you can't let fear get in the way. You have to do everything in your power to put fear aside and overcome whatever it is that's holding you back at that time. Aerials is a sport that if you're not scared, I think you're a little bit crazy. We're actually in the air for about 3 seconds. During those 3 seconds, you're not thinking about any other problems in your life. You can literally only focus on what's happening in the moment. And that's what I live for. I was first diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder in 2014. It was after the Olympic Games, after I had done a lot of traveling, and I was trying to get back into training, but I was falling into a bit of a depression, if you will. It wasn't the first time in my life that I experienced something like that. I've been experiencing symptoms of bipolar disorder and depression for many, many years. Bipolar isn't something that happens from a day-to-day basis. It's usually about 3-week periods where you go through these ups and lows. And oftentimes after a manic episode, I will personally experience a depressive episode. And those come with very dark thoughts that kind of take over your life. And the struggle is very real. It's not fun. I was a little bit devastated to have a labeling of mental health disorder. Bipolar disorder is something that now I don't let control or define me. But at the time, it was definitely something that had taken control of my life in a way, and I let it do so. I let it beat me up. I let it kind of define who I was for a long time, and I'm ready to make a change in my life. Through acceptance, through therapy, through medication, there's so many avenues that I've been able to seek out that help with me coming to terms with the fact that I am bipolar. I think by coming out and sharing my story is an opportunity for me to help inspire others to seek the help that they need, or just to follow their dreams and goals, not letting mental illness or whatever it may be holding you back. The National Sport Federation has definitely provided me with amazing tools like a sports psychologist that I've had for the last 13 years to enable me to find success both on and off the slopes. They take a big life approach to both my athletic career and my life as a normal person as well. And this ties together into creating both a person and an athlete that's ready to face his fears and allows me to reach great heights.
One of my friend, he was a diver as well. We got to the pool and we were changing, and he just grabbed a little bit of like my skin in my back, and I was sort of like, why did you do that? He's like, well, I just wanted to feel how it was to be fat. There's a bunch of little stories like that that I can tell you. I felt like if I wanted to be able to dive against the best of the world, not only did I have to improve my technique, but I also had to improve the image I was giving to the judges from the moment I stand on that board. The year was very important if I wanted to qualify for 2012 Olympics. I didn't see the results coming fast enough. And I ended up eating absolutely nothing or almost nothing. The easiest way to hide it was to eat in front of people, and then after that, making myself throw up. I got so many good comments from athletes, from coaches, from judges telling me how good I was looking on the board, how confident I looked, and how finally I looked like an athlete. But there was a part of me who said, but wait, you will see, I will become even thinner. And at the London Olympics, I ended up having one of the best results of my career. I was okay with just surviving and just like being able to perform. And then after, I crashed. I lost control. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to say, I need you to help me. But I went to see my coach and I was like, I really need to talk to you about something that I've been dealing with for the past 2 years. I clearly remember that he just hugged me and he said that he would be there for me no matter what. In less than 2 days, I got help from Diving Canada and a psychologist. We needed to find the reason why it all happened. It was incredibly painful, but to me, those painful moments were necessary.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. In September 2010, Bell Let's Talk began a new conversation about Canada's mental health. 12 years later, Bell Let's Talk Day campaign continues to encourage Canadians to keep listening, keep talking, and keep being there for themselves and each other. Let us return to the conversation as two athletes share about their experiences about their mental health challenges.
8 years ago, Canadians started to open up about their mental health with the help of the Bell Let's Talk campaign. So why is it so important to talk about mental illness? Because just like any other health issue, mental illness is an important part of our overall health. Despite that, many Canadians struggle to find the right words to communicate about it with friends and to loved ones. But campaigns like this one are helping to change that. Every day, we must do what we can to break down the barriers to talking about mental health and mental illness, whether it's yours or it's mine. Let's break the stigma and make it the new normal. Listening and being there for someone who is suffering from mental health issues is the first step on the road to removing that stigma. Every year, the Canadian Armed Forces and the Department of National Defence proudly takes part in Bell Let's Talk campaign. We ask so much of our women and men in uniform as they proudly serve Canada across the globe. But that service can take a toll, and we are working hard to ensure that all our members are taken care of. Through programs at our Military Family Resource Centers, our 24/7 member assistance lines, and many others, we are helping to support our veterans and our Canadian Armed Forces members, including their families. Now it's your turn. Get involved in any way you can. Start the conversation at work, at home, with friends. And remember, you can post on social media as well, using the hashtag BellLet'sTalk to keep that conversation going. Because Bell will donate 5 cents to Canadian mental health programs every time you do that. If you or someone you know needs help, ask for it. We are here to help. Let's Talk.
Mental health affects police officers and EMS workers in general. We see people at their worst, and we carry that with us.
I've been on the downside of mental health, and I've been on the upside of mental health. And taking care of yourself is fundamentally important so that you can take care of other people.
Police are no different than persons who perform any other jobs. We feel stress, we feel anxiety, we feel pressure just like anyone else.
Because of my experiences, I'm able to find a connection or an instant rapport, because when someone says to me, you don't know what it's like to feel stress, you don't know what it's like to feel anxiety, I can say, yes, I do.
While we're dealing with the struggles of other people, it may affect us. So it's important that we're self-aware and that we talk to people when we're feeling stressed or have difficulty depending on certain types of calls.
So much of our daily lives revolve around our mental well-being and how we think, how we act, and what we do in our day.
For me, in my experience, was being alone on an island. I don't think people get it until they actually experience it.
Just being comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm struggling, you'll find everyone's willing to help you.
We need to get to a point where we recognize there's no shame in all of that. No different than going to the doctor to get aches and pains and different pieces looked after.
Don't be afraid to reach out to your loved ones. You're not a burden. You are not bothering anybody. Just know that there's always going to be somebody to reach out to. You can always call us, and we'll always be a helpful hand for you.
Bell Let's Talk is an opportunity for all Canadians, all police officers, all police members to come together in unison to recognize that it's okay to talk about it. We're making change, we're making positive steps in the right direction, but there's still more to do from a community perspective.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Last December, Kids Help Phone saw an increase of 127% in the interactions related to the COVID-19 pandemic compared to November. Let us return to the conversation with Ashley Cummings.
You know, being a creative person, I really enjoy the beauty in life, whether it's walking in a trail or painting or whatever. And those things stopped being so bright and colorful to me. It felt like my world became shades of gray, and that's when I realized I really needed help. Calling Kids Help Phone was really important for me, getting out of a crisis state of mind and into a calmer and a happier state when I was really feeling down. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Kids Help Phone on a professional level and be able to be on their Indigenous Advisory Council. I struggled, and I had access to good resources when I was a teenager. And knowing that there are thousands of youth across Canada that don't have the same access but often experience the same feelings that come with growing up, it really drives and motivates me to continue doing all the advocacy work that I do. Knowing that they are going to be better informed on Indigenous context in Canada and Indigenous history. It's a really important thing for me because that means Indigenous youth will have to spend less time defining who they are and instead can just be as they are, a child in pain or a child that's stressed or depressed. Doing this work with Kids Help Phone really feels like it came full circle, especially going from being a service user when I needed help and now being able to be on the other side of the coin and helping Kids Help Phone help kids who are like me. It's a really beautiful thing. It feels amazing.
I identify as a gender nonconforming, queer, gay, Filipino Canadian. And if you knew me, you'd know that I'm very loud, very exuberant, very fabulous. And so I can look at myself in the mirror and smile and say that I love me. My mental health journey has been a wild ride. I remember everyone telling me in my family that I should put down that plate or that I shouldn't wear a certain thing because it accentuates different parts of my body that's not flattering. So I've learned to hide a lot of myself, hide my body, and to be ashamed of what I am and my size. And so, I noticed when I got the help that I needed that I was struggling with an eating disorder. And so this was a struggle that I wasn't able to identify because I didn't have the support that I needed. And so through Jack.org, I've been able to see that I can get the help and that I deserve the help and that I have the support from so many different people within my family, and I cannot be more thankful for that. Within the role as being a network representative of British Columbia, I found that I have this platform again to be able to express the concerns that I see within my community, especially with the very passionate and driven youth that I get to work with on a daily basis. I see through outlets like Jack.org and Bell Let's Talk, we're able to encourage youth to revolutionize mental health and see that we have the power to write our own stories.
I'm listening.
I'm listening. We're listening.
Mommy's listening.
Listening. I'm listening, Dad.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
There are many reasons why people develop mental illness. Some are genetic or biological, some are a result of childhood trauma or an overwhelming stress at school, work, or home. In this final segment of Open Connection, Andrea Parquette shares her story.
My name is Andrea. I'm also known as the Bipolar Babe, and I'm very passionate about spreading awareness about mental health, and I'm Executive Director of the Bipolar Disorder Society of BC. Well, my mother was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 3 years old, but we never talked about it. It was something that was very hush-hush, and all I knew is that bipolar disorder was a negative thing, a bad word that adults used. Little did I know I would succumb to the same fate as my mom. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 25 years old. I plunged into a very deep psychosis where I started believing things, hearing things, seeing things that weren't there. As well, I went into this very elevated, serious mania where I was doing things out of character. I was hospitalized for a month, and that was basically the beginning of my mental health journey. There was a lot of stigma that I didn't know existed, internal stigma and external stigma. My roommates took my key. They told me not to come home, so the hospital became my home. As well, I lost my job for my strange behavior. And my family was all in another province. My friends stopped talking to me. And yeah, the biggest piece was being homeless and staying in the hospital. My path to recovery with mental illness began when I decided that I wanted to take back my life and try something new. So I moved to South Korea and I became a teacher for children and then eventually university professor. Being diagnosed with mental illness, I initially felt that I could never be successful, I could never travel, I could never have a good job. And then I soon realized as time went on that I could actually live an extraordinary life. My friend was doing funny t-shirts around mental health, and she would have these slogans that would say things like, "What is normal anyway but a setting on a washing machine?" She would say really cute things, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have my t-shirt. It's gonna say, Bipolar Babe, and I wanna wear that proudly. I want people to ask me, what is bipolar disorder anyway? And share my experience and truly just have conversations free of stigma. I now educate 2,000 youth a year that I reach out to and speak to. And part of my healing and recovery is truly come from talking about it and just truly being a voice for others who feel that they can't be their own advocate. So if I can do that, then it's worth it.
Did you know that watching me water this plant supports mental health? Watching me not work out today also helps.
Mai, do you remember to buy the milk?
Watching me realize that I did not get the milk is helping.
Watching me vacuum supports mental health.
Watching me nail this pot helps. Go! Watching me take this slap shot even helps. Top corner. Because today is Bell Let's Talk Day, and every time someone watches this video, Bell will donate 5 cents towards Canadian mental health initiatives. So thank you for watching and helping and sharing and watching and helping and watching.
There was this huge cloud that hung around the hospital, and no one ever ventured into the grounds. No one ever realized how nice the people were that lived there. And these were people that had been there for 20, 30, 40 years. It was their home. And so I think that's what I got interested in stigma, is I realized that there is a stigma. It took me 15 years to figure it out. But once I realized it, I couldn't believe that so many people would be afraid of these charming individuals that just happened to be patients. And also, that was the place where I had my first research job. So I started research there as a research assistant for the director of the hospital. And I think I realized at some point that research can be used as an advocacy tool. And so my work is pretty much that. It's looking at the experiences of stigma that people have around mental illness and trying to quantify it so that policymakers will realize it's a problem. And then not just telling them it's a problem, but also offering some solutions so that we know that we have anti-stigma interventions. My team can demonstrate that they work. We work with a lot of partner agencies, and once we can show that an intervention works, then I think we can really push policymakers to implement them and fund them and realize that stigma is a problem, but not a problem that's an insoluble one that they can do something about.
I'm here, Mom.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm here.
I'm here. I'm here.
Stay down. I'm here. We got this, okay?
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.